Imagine walking into your local grocery store. Nothing crazy. It's a Tuesday. You've got your list. You grab what you need, and you get to the register. The cashier starts scanning, and somewhere around item 7, you feel it, that tightening in your chest, that little mental calculator running in the background. Okay, that's $11. That's $24. Am I over budget? Now, what if I told you that feeling, that low-grade financial anxiety you carry into a grocery store, into a gas station, into a holiday dinner, it has nothing to do with how much money you make? Today, we're going to talk about what $1,000 actually does to a broke mind. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean the neuroscience, the psychology, the behavioral economics of why having a small cushion literally rewires the way you think about money, and why most people are one $800 car repair away from catastrophe every single month. My name is Alex, and I help people understand money. Not Wall Street money, not hedge fund money, real money. The kind that keeps your lights on and lets you sleep at night. Subscribe and hit the like button if this helps you out. Because here's the thing, we're about to talk about something the financial industry doesn't want to be a simple conversation. They want it complicated. They want you confused. A confused person keeps swiping a credit card. Let's uncomplicate it. Okay, so let me paint you a picture. The average American, not the poorest, not the richest, the median American. You run that math, and it does not add up. It literally does not add up. You've got someone earning $59,000 a year. Now it's about $4,900 a month before taxes, roughly $3,600 after, and they're handing $738 of it every single month to a car lender. That's over 20% of their take-home pay, gone. Before rent, before groceries, before the electric bill, before literally anything else. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable, because that $562 left over, that's not savings. That's the buffer that absorbs every surprise. The broken phone screen, the dentist appointment, the car registration, the dog's vet visit. When that buffer runs out, and it always runs out, you swipe the credit card, and then you're paying 24% interest to borrow $300 to pay for a thing that happened 2 months ago. Now, here's what most people don't realize. This isn't a discipline problem. This isn't a you should just stop buying coffee problem. This is a mathematical inevitability, a structural trap. Let me show you the actual numbers, and I want you to sit with these. That's the thing about the way most people spend money. Every dollar has a shadow cost. The price tag is what you pay. The opportunity cost is what you give up forever. And I'm not here to tell you to drive a 1998 Corolla with no AC forever. I drive a nice car. Look, you should enjoy your life, but you should enjoy it knowingly. You should look at that car payment and say, I understand what this costs me, and I'm making this choice on purpose, not because you didn't think about it. Now, here's where this conversation shifts, because we're not just talking about car payments. We're talking about what happens in your brain when you go from $0 in savings to $1,000 in savings. And the answer might surprise you. 13 IQ points. That's the cognitive gap between people with a buffer and people without one. And here's what's brutal about that. The worse your financial situation, the worse your decision-making gets, and the harder it becomes to fix your financial situation. It's a feedback loop. And $1,000 is enough to partially break that loop. So what actually happens? Like neurologically, what does $1,000 do? When you're in financial stress, chronic, ongoing, I don't know if I can cover rent, stress, your brain is releasing cortisol almost constantly. Cortisol is your stress hormone. It's great in short bursts. It's the thing that helps you react fast in an emergency. But chronic cortisol, the kind that comes from always being one bill away from disaster, it literally shrinks the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for long-term thinking, impulse control, and rational decision-making. So when someone says, why don't broke people just save money? The honest answer is chronic financial stress is impairing the exact neural hardware you need to save money. It's a cruel physiological catch-22.
Now, $1,000 doesn't solve that, but here's what it does do. It removes the acute anxiety, the thing that says, what if something breaks this week? The answer to that question, for the first time maybe ever, becomes, I'll handle it. And that psychological shift is enormous. Let me introduce you to a family, the Johnsons. Fictional, but let me tell you, I've had 100 conversations that sound exactly like their situation. The Johnsons aren't bad with money. They're not irresponsible. They're just running on zero margin. And every surprise that hits them, they fund with credit because they have no choice, because there is no buffer. Now imagine, just imagine, the Johnsons found $1,000. Could have been a bonus, could have been a tax refund, could have been 3 months of extreme focus cutting every non-essential. They put it in a savings account and don't touch it. That's it. $1,000 sitting in an account labeled emergency. 6 weeks later, the alternator goes, and for the first time in years, they don't panic. They don't call a family member to borrow money. They don't swipe a credit card at 24%. They handle it. They replenish it over the next 2 months, and something shifts in how they see themselves. Here's the thing most financial advice misses. You can give someone a budget. You can teach them compound interest. You can show them the charts. But if they see themselves as someone who's bad with money, if that's the story they've been telling themselves since childhood, since watching their parents stress about bills, the behavior won't stick. Because here's the psychology. We act in alignment with who we believe we are. If you believe you're the kind of person who spends everything they have, you'll spend everything you have. The identity runs the behavior. So the goal isn't to do saving. The goal is to be a saver. And $1,000, that first $1,000, is the thing that starts to make that identity feel real, because now there is evidence, actual, tangible evidence, sitting in an account that you are capable of doing this. Stop doing saving. Start being a saver. That first $1,000 is the proof of concept for your new identity. Now I want to talk about something that is actively working against you. And I don't mean in a conspiracy theory way. I mean in a this is how the business model works and you should understand it way. The entire consumer economy is built on one thing, the belief that the way to feel good is to acquire, that your value as a person is visible, that you signal status through what you drive, what you wear, what your kitchen looks like, what your Instagram grid looks like. The average American sees between 6,000 and 10,000 advertisements per day. Every single one of them is engineered by teams of PhDs to make you feel like you are slightly inadequate and that this product is the solution. That's not an opinion, that's the pitch deck. And the most dangerous version of this? It's not billboards, it's your social circle. The friendship tax, keeping up with vacations you can't afford, rounds of drinks you can't afford, weddings with gifts you can't afford. Not because your friends are bad people, but because nobody's talking about money honestly, and everyone's performing a financial reality that isn't real. And look, I'm not telling you to stop having friends or go live in a cabin. I'm telling you to understand the game being played, because you can't opt out of something you can't see. So here's where we land, and I want this to be genuinely useful, not just motivational noise. Step 1. If you don't have $1,000 saved right now, that is job number 1. Not investing, not paying down the credit card, not the Roth IRA, $1,000 untouched in a high-yield savings account. That is the emergency brake. That is the thing that stops the panic spiral. Step 2. Audit the status spending. Go through your last 3 months of bank statements, not to shame yourself, to see clearly. Find the things you bought for other people's perception of you. You know what those things are. They feel different when you look back at them. Step 3,
Change the story. Start saying, I am someone who builds wealth, even if the account doesn't reflect it yet. Identity leads behavior. Let the belief come first. Look, the $1,000 isn't the finish line, it's the starting gun. It's the moment your brain gets enough oxygen to start thinking clearly about money for the first time. And once you have that, the next $1,000 comes faster, and the $10,000 after that starts to feel real. And somewhere around $20,000, you walk into a grocery store and you don't do the math at the register anymore. You just pick what you want. That's the goal. That's what this is all about. You can either look wealthy or be wealthy. The choice is yours. Subscribe if this helped you. Drop a comment with the number, your current savings cushion, whatever it is. No judgment, just put it down, because naming the number is the first step to changing it. See you in the next one.